You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. No fluff, just their experiences and stories from people who are making it happen. And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals. Now, on to the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us here again today. We're Live Local Marketing Podcast, and we're with John. John, sir, how are you feeling today?
I'm okay. I mean, not too bad. It's a little cold here in South Central PA, but hey, it's Monday and I'm ready to roll.
You got a little bit of snow hanging out there?
Yeah, we got a little snow yesterday. So it'll probably be gone in a couple of days, but just a nuisance almost.
Yeah, people say snow's pretty, but those people don't live in snow.
Yeah, it is a pain sometimes.
All right, so here we go. John's helping agents and small business owners. He's generating more referrals by staying on top of mind with the people who already know, like, and trust you. At Rooted Business Consulting, he implements proven database touch system that does 80% of the work for you. And if you want a business fueled by relationships, not cold leads, John is going to be your man. Yep. Sir, are you ready to go with the questions?
Sure, let's go.
All right, man. First time, talk to us about a time where you had a loss that turned out to be a win.
A loss to a win.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Right after, I would say, graduating college, I had like an entry-level job where I was basically I was a product designer for an acoustic company, okay, which was a pretty cool gig. I was basically creating high-end finishes, acoustic treatments for things like recording studios and auditoriums and like high-end restaurants and that sort of thing. And the gig was going good. However, I got laid off about a year and a half into the role, and it was a pretty devastating time because I've never been essentially fired from something. I know it wasn't my fault, but I've never had a situation where somebody said that I couldn't do something based on performance. Anyhow, what happened with that was I got laid off, and I was also I was really close to settling on my home with my wife, first purchase, right? And while I was laid off and I was kind of in like that misery type state, I was soul searching again for a new position, and I became a real estate agent. I got licensed in 2011 as a real estate agent, and from there, I didn't realize it yet, but it basically taught me the ins and outs of business, business structure, how to generate business for yourself, how to sell, how to market, and that sort of thing. And then full circle, I was able to come back to it and help people in that industry do what I do best.
Are you somebody who like buys into the idea of grit? Grit is such a crazy word around these days that's thrown around all the time. Are you one of those that's like a gritty type of person?
I grind for sure. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do believe that there's a lot of karma, I would say, to those that put in the work, for sure.
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about setting goals. You shifted gears from real estate. Now you're doing a lot of marketing and so forth too.
Yeah.
How do you set up your goals at the beginning of or is it the beginning of the year, or do you throughout the year? Are you doing it weekly? Like how do you set those up? How does it look like for you?
Yeah, so great. So I follow with my business kind of back end. I follow what's called the entrepreneurial operating system. This guy named Gino Wickman wrote this book called Traction. I don't know, don't quote me on when. But basically it teaches you the foundations of business and how to really kind of focus on each of those. So it's marketing, sales, finance, and operations. And with that, it comes with a couple components and tools that they give you. And one of those is called a VTO, so a Vision Traction Organizer. It's basically a 2-page business plan that gives you a snapshot of what your 1-year goals are, your 3-year goals, and your 5-year picture are.
Okay.
So I'm constantly reviewing that. I'm constantly updating it based on, any sort of shifts or pivots needed in, say, a quarter or something. But I would say on an annual basis, I at least focus on it quarterly. And then inside there's a scorecard. So basically I have goals. I have a set number of conversions that I want for the year, right? Now, how do I reverse engineer that and actually attract the business from whatever pillars that I'm focused on?
So tracking. So how do you do the tracking? Is it based on numbers, sales, connections, CRM? What is the tracking are you doing?
Oh yeah, so I would say it's basically, yeah. So all those things. So my efforts. So what effort I put into whatever whatever pillar or whatever lead source it would be. So efforts to kind of one, bring in the business, so market myself. Two, how do I convert that? So am I setting, my one is, are people raising their hands? Am I generating leads? If so, then am I setting an appointment? If are they, are they showing up for the appointment? And then if so, am I converting the appointment? And all sorts of different kind of, so I would say per
Gotcha.
lead source, there's probably 4 or 5 aspect points that I'm tracking. And then that's
Okay.
for probably 5, 10 different sources.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So I know you teach all warm marketing types of activities. Do you
Yeah.
do any cold marketing? If so, give us some examples,
Yeah,
and
so
then
I would
some
say, so I
examples
do
of.
represent, yeah, sorry. So
Oh, good.
I do represent a bunch of real estate teams as like a, more of like a kind of like a coaching type person.
Yeah.
And while, as long as they're seeing maybe a 3-to-1 return, 3 to 4 to 1 return, I don't think there's any issue in canceling it. Now, if it's not, if it's kind of requiring a little bit more effort and that sort of thing, time and energy versus your investment, your actual monetary investment, where it's to the point where it's not at a, 2 to 2 or 1 to 1, I would probably cancel it. So that said,
Gotcha.
I have
Gotcha.
nothing against cold business as long as it's
And that's what I was
returning.
getting at.
Yeah.
Got it. So like paid ads and things of that nature, you
Yeah.
can do it. You just need to see a huge return on it, is what you're saying.
And not a huge one, at least a 3 or 4,
Well, 3 to 1
So
is
I mean,
pretty
if,
good.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So what kind of, let's shift gears to the other part of the question too. Let's
Yeah.
warm marketing strategies. What do you see the best return ROI, and give
Yeah.
us an example?
Yeah, sure. So for example, so in the real estate world, there's probably 25 some odd sources out there that I personally manage. Um, and yeah, I would say the biggest difference is your colder stuff is likely going to perform less. And there's the big piece that it's missing is the trust. Okay,
Okay.
so your cold business is ultimately missing the trust aspect. So you just got to realize, hey, how do I build that trust and how long is it going to take me? And is my time and effort worth it to see that return, right? So in my world, what I really kind of hone in on is what's called database marketing. Okay, so database
Okay.
marketing is working your warm people that you've already essentially throughout the time of your life spent 5 to 6 hours of time with. And if you were to put them in a list, would you consider them to know you, like you, and trust you? Um, so, colder lead sources, we probably see somewhere, as I say, at least a 3 or 4, to 1 return, and I'll continue it. With database marketing, our clients see at least a 30 to 1 return.
That's very awesome. I mean, it's because of the trust.
Yeah, it's the trust. You're already basically skipping that step, is the thing. Cold markets, cold leads, you got to build familiarity. You got to build trust. And that it comes with a cost. And it comes with time,
Yep.
energy, and cost, right? If you can just skip that step and then holistically work with the people that you already know, like, and trust, your returns are going to be much, much more significant.
Sounds so easy saying out loud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, talk about a strategy that you don't do anymore. You're like, this is such a waste of time. Don't bother. Leave that around. Well, a quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
Um, Dead sources. Inconsistent direct mail.
Oh, okay. Okay. Why so?
Because with direct mail, it's expensive. I went to school.
Can be.
My major was graphic design, and actually, when I was going to school, I probably went to school about a decade later than I should have. But I was also getting into a field where it was becoming a dinosaur. So when I got into the
Mm,
field, web design was pretty popular, and learning coding and all that sort of thing, where everybody's like, "Oh, the digital world's the place to go." And
Yeah.
yet,
Yeah.
I, 15, 20 years later, you would think that that would still be the case, and yet it's not.
No.
However, there is a case to if inconsistent direct mail. So if you're willing to invest into print marketing, just know that it works, but you can't just kind of one and done it. It's got to have some sort of consistent method to it. You got to be you're basically capturing and retaining the mind share of people right with it. So you got to realize that if you just send one thing to somebody, say, I mean, there's nothing wrong with sending somebody a birthday card. I feel the
Yeah.
love, but just know that those literally one touch, one impression of your name and brand and face in front of them, where you're likely not to see a return. It's just you gotta do it on a more consistent basis.
So the farming, basically,
Yeah, yeah,
like mailing farming. So you're kind of
yeah.
saying if you're going to do it, go all in, which means you've got to be real specific with your budget and your target and what you want to
Yeah,
do.
and that with farming, it definitely works, but it's a long haul type situation
Okay.
if the people don't know who you are, and a lot of in the real estate industry, especially, agents, well, they're like, hey, let me find the highest neighborhood that's going to return for me. How
Yeah.
quickly are these people moving? Hey, they're going to move.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's every 5-6 years. Well, I would definitely want to market to that. But if you haven't been cemented into that neighborhood, if you don't live there, if your children don't kind of socialize in there or whatever it might be, you got to build that trust. So just know farming will work, but it's likely that, especially if a real estate agent's trying to take over a neighborhood that some other agent might already own, it's going to take 3-4 years of probably sending something every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a big old commitment. So I'm
yeah,
with you. So if that's going to be the one I'm cutting, the
yeah,
commitment, the ROI may not always be there.
yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure. So when you sit down with realtors, I'm sure you have an array of different styles, different personalities. When you sit down with them, I'm sure you have to talk branding stories. How does that conversation look with them? And how do you help them decide their brand?
Yeah, so a lot of the times the brand is established. So it's really tricky with real estate too, because every state has different compliance as well.
Yeah, it's true.
So for example, in the state of Pennsylvania where I'm located, if you were, say, you're creating a new brand or a team or something, you must use your name.
Hmm.
Right. So there's
Makes sense.
sort of restrictions and that sort of thing, which that's not the worst thing, right?
No.
What I tout when you're trying to brand yourself as a small business or just a real estate agent in general, um, it's always name, brand, and face. It should be plastered on everything. Okay, to kind of, it's all about the trust. It's all about the familiarity. It's all about the consistency. But ultimately, if you're trying to create, if somebody were to see your face on a billboard, would they know who you are?
Yeah.
And it's almost like kind of like that magical kind of thing where it's just like, oh, I know who that person is because now they're at a celebrity status because they plugged their name, brand, and face over everything.
Yeah.
They're omnipresent
Everything.
everywhere I go,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that would be kind of my 2 cents when it comes down to branding is your name, brand, and face. You can create whatever brand is unique to you, and it feels good and that sort of thing. Like the name, again, that sometimes comes with restrictions, but like say your colorways and your typography and your style and that sort of thing, that's always inside. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to amplify that a little bit, but
Got it.
ultimately it comes down to three things: name, brand, and face, consistently through everything.
Just
And when I say
making sure
brand, it's like your logo and your
it's your
colorways and that sort of
personality.
thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The generic, how do you want people to talk about you when you're not in the room type thing?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. For you, what has been the best marketing advice you have gotten?
To build your list.
Oh, good one.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of people, I've talked to all sorts of different people. Sometimes they're 6 months into the business. Sometimes they're 45 years into the business. There's one team that I represent, and they're third time legacy. So his grandfather opened up shop in 1943. So over 80
Dang.
years of experience with that legacy. And
Whew.
the best thing I can tell you is that their lists are all over the place, right?
I'm
Sometimes
sure
I
they
talk to
are.
people like, yeah, John, I have this CRM. It's a great CRM. All these people tagged. I know exactly where they came from and who they are. And I have full contact information from them. Then I have, other people that tell me like, yeah, John, I have a list of people, but it's in a filing cabinet in my basement. The thing is, your
Yeah.
list ultimately in the real estate world, with our program, we help people more or less capture and retain the mind share for people to think of them. For every 10 people on your list, you should see one transaction. So if you want to learn how to project your income for the upcoming year, it's all about how many people are in your database. How many people are in your list of know, like, and trust, and how consistently are you sending them your name, brand, and face? So therefore, you can do the magic of a conversion to program to think of you whenever life change is needed. So yeah, the biggest thing I can tell you though is to build the list, because a lot of people skip it. A lot of people are like, okay, well, I'll just go buy a cold pay-per-click list
Yeah.
from somebody, and yet you're defeating the purpose. Now you have to take another
Man.
2 years for them to
Yeah.
nurture them, for 2 years for them to build some sort of trust, familiarity, and understanding of who you are and what you do, right? Versus just sitting down, buckling down. I know it's boring, unsexy, monotonous work, tedious work to sit down for, say, 4 or 5 hours and just write down every single person that you know.
Yeah.
Scour your phones, scour your social media, scour your email platforms. Type A, all the A's that populate. All the B's that populate. Talk to all your closest friends, anybody that you personally pay money for service. You know what I mean? Like, who does your hair, who does your landscaping, who does all this stuff for you that you've consistently been building this trust with. Build your list. That's my biggest 2 cents.
So before we move to the next one, how's your list look? I'm just curious.
Well,
You like
it's okay. It's
OCD?
okay, but I mean, I'm
Okay.
ever evolving it too. So yeah,
Good. Good.
I will definitely, practice what I preach. And yet
Yeah.
I'll
Just curious.
be honest and say I actually have a time block in my calendar today to kind of do
There you
some
go.
database list work.
I'm with you. I know the list has got to be done, but the holidays and stuff, I'm a little behind. Like, I'm pretty good about it, but I'm a little behind all of a sudden here. All right, so let's move into the last one before we get to your business and how people get a hold of you. So I always frequently ask people to talk about the idea of confidence. You've been doing this for a very long time. You've built up the corporate, the experience that builds your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about maybe somebody who's like, you know what, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can get into sales. I don't know if I can do into real estate. I don't like marketing myself. What kind of conversation do you have with them about their confidence and how they can, manage themselves?
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing, because I too was like an anti-salesperson when I got into this role. Like, I was
Yeah,
pretty much
same.
like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So I struggled too. But the biggest thing it's practice, man. It's practice, 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 practice. I think mastery comes with 10,000 hours. So if you want to gain confidence, you want to be a master at something, put 10,000 hours into it. So that's my biggest 2 cents is. And when I say that is, like, what do you practice, right?
I was going to ask you that. Yep.
Practice getting out,
Yep.
practice getting out and talking and being in relationship with people. That's in the real estate world. Like, that's my, going back to building your list, it's just being in relationship and learning and, just being there and trying to connect with as many people as possible. So, for what that's worth, time block. Time block is, adds a lot of discipline if you can follow your schedule. Time block into your calendar. I use my calendar religiously. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So that's the other thing. Just practice, practice, practice. Make sure that you're time blocking your practice, and maybe find somebody to lean on. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to practice on real people. Then I just lost that potential conversion or whatever. So find like a role play partner or something.
There you
Just, hey, what do you think if I were to kind of approach somebody like this? And here's the other thing: come from contribution. If you can learn how to come from contribution, and just serve, everything should be fine at that point. Don't
awesome.
sell people.
I'm with you.
Add
value, right? We're all adding value. That's what it comes down to. All right, that is awesome. We're on the same page with a lot of our things. You and I have had a few meetings in the past. We're all on the same page. You and I do a lot of things that are very similar. So I couldn't agree more with the things you're saying. So before we head out of here, I'll let you do the outro. Please talk about your business and where people can connect with you if they want more information.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, so John Nayduch, Rooted Business Consulting. We just more or less help small businesses, specifically in the real estate world, stay top of mind to people in their that they know, like, and trust. We have a few different options. I mean, if you're looking to potentially learn how to self-implement what we call a database touch program, I know database has 1,000 different kind of definitions, but ultimately in our world, database is just a list of people that you've come in contact with in your life. If you spent about 5 to 6 hours of time with, and you had a positive experience with them, they should be in your database. And now, we just basically what I teach is how to communicate with them. How to communicate with them with 4 to 5 different types of media, 4 to 5 different times per month. So therefore, if they ever have a life change or know somebody that in their world that has a life change, I think the average person knows about 600 people. So if you know and you can tap into somebody that knows by placing your name, brand, and face in front of them consistently with valuable information, you've done enough to capture and retain the mind share for them to think of you first and reach out to you first. So if you're looking to learn how to self-implement that, I consistently have training. Our website has a free training. I'll even give you a free 26-page guidebook. I'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to self-implement. Or if you're looking, you just don't want to do this on your own, we have various different types of programs based on how many touches and where you are in your specific business to help you.
Excellent. I appreciate that. And like I said, you and I on the same page with a lot of these things. So we appreciate your time and your help today. And
Awesome.
make sure you get on the website, check it out. Yeah. And make sure you get the free 26 pages. Make sure you hop on there, get some free resources. Helps your warm marketing, helps your business. I promise.
rootedbc.com.
Awesome. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Take care.